Oh my God. There's just too many buttons for me to push. I'm like, why do I still hear them? Because when I hit the countdown, it mutes us. And I'm like, oh no. Hey,
I think
Pac-Man,
it
good
was
to see you.
great.
Oh my God. How was your week, everybody?
It's been usual
Jesse,
so far.
I'm going to let my little dumpster fire shine.
You have some news. Are you going to?
Yes. So I have adopted. Okay, first of all, we lost our German Shepherd in February. He was very old.
Sorry about that.
So it was really very heartbreaking. I still have my Sophie, thank goodness. She's an American Bulldog. So I was scrolling through Facebook in a hurry because, whatever. And I seen this particular dog, and I'm like, oh, I want him. He's beautiful. And I showed my other half, and he's like, so find out. And I am now my proud owner of Gilmore, Gizzy. He is named after what we do in the shadows. Nandor the Relentless Familiar. And he is an American Bulldog. Mm-hmm.
Oh, congratulations.
Or a Frenchie Bulldog. Oh, God, sorry.
Frenchie. A Frenchie.
A French
You know,
bulldog?
So cute.
Like you ran into a wall.
Yeah, he's super cute. Sweetest dog. He was rescued from a terrible situation. He was a product of backyard breeding. Folks, please don't do that.
Me too. Oh.
Look at all the problems that Mad Max has.
Oh, you have no idea.
I mean, he pees all over himself. I mean,
you too.
Are you talking about the dog or me?
Oh, oh no. Anyways, yeah, welcome to our show, Colleen and everybody else.
Oh my gosh. So we have a very good show. We have a great show tonight, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're talking UFOs, abductions, cattle mutilations, the whole 9 yards, right? And so we're just going to go with this. Dirty Birdie, you've got some stuff that you were going to start with, right?
Yeah. When we decided to start this topic and talk about it, I always remember all these stories that were coming out of our area. And I was looking into it, and in just this part of our city, there's over 31 UFO reports from 1968 to 2025. And I got this information from this site called NUFFORC.org. It's a long acronym. But it has an interactive map. Let me see if I can show it. Let's see, share screen.
I don't know why I just got into it.
And this is the map.
Let me put it up on the stage. There we go.
Oh, good old American Balls.
So yeah, you can zoom in and out on your area, and you click on the dot here, and it'll bring up 29 sightings from 1998 to 2025. And you click on it, and then there's people that have witnessed it and give you all the descriptions and give you descriptions of what they saw, when they saw it, where they saw it.
Wow.
Which site is this?
NUFORC.org.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, it's a long acronym. It's I can't remember the name of it right now. But
yeah, Dirty Bird, can you put that link in the comments, please, so people can go to that map?
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stumbled across it and I'm like, it's probably not going to have a whole lot. And I looked at it and was like, oh my gosh, yeah.
So, what are some of the ones around here that are local or that are interesting to you?
Well, I had my own back in 2019 when I was at my brother's house, and it was about the third week in September. We had some family come down. My nephew, my adopted nephew's dad was coming up from Salt Lake with, I think his sister, and he's a huge UFO buff. And at the time, I've never seen anything. I was like on the fence about it, and we're all hanging out in the backyard. And I'm ribbing him. I'm like, so how about those aliens? Huh? Yeah. He's like, they're around. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And I'm sitting in a chair, and I'm looking towards the southeast, and I see something up in the sky, and it looked like it was bright and shiny, and I thought, well, that's weird. And we have this airport out here, so I thought like it's one of those little puddle jumpers, right? I thought it's going to the airport, and it's getting close. And while I'm watching it, it's getting closer and closer. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, it's a jet. There's no Doppler, and I'm watching it, and I'm still watching it while I'm having a conversation. I'm keeping an eye on this thing, and it's getting closer and closer, and the closer it gets, the more round in shape and silver it was, and it's had the sun's reflection off of it, and I'm like, okay, it's lifelike, and it's getting closer and closer, and as I'm watching it, I noticed that it's following the interstate, and I'm like, that's really strange, and I'm thinking it's lifelike, and still I can see it plain as day. It was a huge silver orb. It's not making any sound. I was expecting to hear like Doppler effect of rotor blades. Nothing. Mm-hmm. It's just a silver ball. And for my estimation, you could probably fit, if you were to blow a bubble, you could probably fit a pickup truck in it. That's how big it was. Mm. And it was big, silver, and shiny. And I'm watching this thing, and pretty soon my nephew, my brother's kid, goes, Uncle Kelly, what are you looking at? I'm like, I think I'm looking at a UFO. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, right there. And all of a sudden, everybody stopped what they're doing there, and they all looked up, and they're like, what the heck? And I'm like, yeah. And it goes just above my brother's house, and then just like there was a reflection of the sun, and it just like blinked, and then it shot straight, like it curved, and but it went straight up and disappeared, just in a blink of an eye. It was so fast.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And everybody's like, yeah, my adopted nephew's dad, he looks at me and goes, told you. And I'm like, what else do you know? And
he's all, bam, mic drop.
Yeah, he mic dropped me. And I'm like, oh. And then a couple years after that, my sister had a sighting up on the mountain above her house. And of course, I went to bed early and missed it, but she gave me a call, and I called her the next day, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I'll send you the video. And she sends me the video, and there's this big, bright ball of light that's on the side of this mountain just above her house. There's no way you could get there with a four-wheeler or pickup truck like that. It was like on a sheer side of this mountain where she lives with like these radio towers. And she was telling me it was changing all sorts of color. It was going like red, blue, white, yellow. And she was also said that they had these like little white dots going in and out of it at the time. And I was like, how long was it there? And she's like, I don't know. I was watching it for a while, and it got cold, and I went inside. This was October. And when I was doing research on this, I found another report that the guy said almost the exact same thing. Is that it was in southeastern Idaho. He saw a light on top of a mountain, and it was there for about 15 minutes, and all of a sudden there was like 4 or 5 helicopters with green lights, blue lights, flying towards it and chased it off out of the area.
Hmm.
So
I just wonder. I wonder. There's are we the helicopters? Clearly they're not going to do anything, right? I mean, because I guess that UFO just let them. It probably just took off because it could have just made them go away or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And maybe
but
it doesn't want. Maybe it didn't want to interact with them.
I apologize,
I just
everybody. I thought I had a spider flying by me. So that's
I just find it interesting that they send helicopters with certain lights on it and no other lights, just as these blue lights, and it takes off. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Well,
then
remember in Independence Day, right? In Independence Day, they actually sent helicopters up that were retrofitted with lights, and they would play that music that da 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 from Close Encounters,
oh
and they would
yeah.
flash the lights at the same time. Excuse me, but I think they were clear lights. And then the UFO is like, yeah, we don't want to play that game, so it just blew them out of the sky. So thankfully, that didn't happen here, right?
oh
Or did
man,
it? I
no,
can't even
I hope
imagine
not.
that.
But then and then Colleen had her little encounter ish on the farm out there after going to Vernal.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that
yeah.
big light
In
just lit
Bernard.
up. Yeah, you tell
Well,
the story.
it was the same week that Tim had his, and we both went down to Vernal to view Skinwalker Ranch together. And so uh, I was coming home from a dog training class, and as I made the turn onto the gravel road that I live off of, I saw this brilliant light over my property, and I mean, I've never seen a light that bright ever, other than like arc welding, that intense of a light. And I came to a stop in the road because I'm looking at my property and I couldn't figure out what in the world that light was. It was so intense. And then I sped around the corner to come into my gate, and the light just blinked out. And everybody, all the animals were fine, all the farm animals, everybody was fine. And I thought maybe I was seeing stuff, maybe did I have like an aneurysm? I mean, really, it was that like intense. So I didn't say anything to anybody because I'm like, what the hell happened? And I never saw a source of the light, but it was just my property, like not even off the fence line, just my property. And I didn't
It's
see
funny.
anything.
It's funny that you say that about the light because every time I look at Mud Lover, I see a light.
So I didn't say anything, and then my neighbor came over to help me move some hay bales a few days later, and he said, "Hey," he goes, "Did you see that light on your property the other night?" And I was shocked that he would have been outside and he saw it. And I said, "Did you see a source?" I said, "Yeah, I saw it. I was coming home, and I said, 'Did you see a source?'" He goes, "No." And I go, "What do you think it was?" He goes, "No, I don't know, but I went inside." It spooked him. And then I waited a couple of weeks, and then I text the team and I said, "Hey, this happened, and I don't know how to explain it." And Tim said, "Oh, you too, huh?"
Wow.
Yeah. So it happened to him at his place too, and we both went down there to Skinwalker,
Huh.
and we're standing on the mesa just right above Skinwalker. So I don't know. I mean, we were
Yeah,
looking down at the whole, we were on the whole mesa. So
Hmm.
yeah, it could be a hitchhiker effect.
right, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Wow.
So, Max,
I think
yeah.
I think you and Tim's addresses are on a whiteboard in a flying saucer somewhere.
Probably. But I go down now. I'm trying to. I'm making this an annual event, and so the Phenomenon. So I'm down in Vernal, not necessarily right at Skinwalker. That's more towards Ballard, but it's only like 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away. So there's so much stuff that goes on in Vernal, and it's kind of bonkers down there. What goes on?
Yeah, when we went there, we had a sighting
Yeah,
about the same time, but you were up on the mountain, and I stayed back at the what is it, the Airbnb or whatever.
right.
And I wasn't feeling too well, but I was there, and someone said, "Hey, poke your head outside," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I opened the door, and I'm looking straight across the valley to there's some hills just straight across the valley, and I'm seeing this big orb, and it's flashing red, blue, yellow, white, something. It's far across the distance, and then I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then another one started forming behind that, and then a little one right in the middle, and I'm like, oh, got to get this on camera. And right before I'm supposed to do it, she hits me, and she's like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching it right now." And she's like, I'm like, "I got to get it on camera."
Yeah.
And that was really, really neat to watch.
That was to the east towards Dinosaur National Monument over that direction from where we were. And and then about an hour later, because we kept watching that hillside then we did see headlights, but it was so far away, the headlights were just dots. So that what we saw wasn't, you know what I mean? It was so incredibly bright. And then didn't it just flash out? It just was gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Like all of them. I
Um,
don't remember them moving up or sideways or
I
anything.
didn't see him move. I just saw him on the side of the hill. But I'm trying to film. Unfortunately, I'm trying to film this, and then I have this huge swarm of gnats just buzzing me out. I could only be out there for so long before I'm sitting there going.
Yeah.
So
That's what happened to me right when you were talking about stuff. It was like a spider. I swear to God, guys, it was a big spider.
I just lost it when you jumped, man.
I did. But it was like, whoo, and I'm like, oh. Sorry. I'm sorry, Birdie. I apologize. I wasn't being rude. I'm deathly scared. It's bad.
no, I was wondering what was going on. It was
I
happened to look up
and I just
sitting
lost
there
it.
going.
And I lost it, and then I apologize.
It's your damn bangs. They're always in your eyes, and you think they're spiders.
I thought you were doing freelance kung fu.
No.
So, Mud Lover, what were you doing today? What were you tackling today?
Today I'm tackling supposedly it's the first person who reported seeing UFO back in 47. Yeah.
And when?
47?
1947?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Shall I
All right.
proceed?
Yeah. Why not?
Oh, okay. His name was Kenneth Arnold, and he saw 9 metallic crafts flying near Mount Rainier on June 24th, 1947. He was a private pilot, and it turns out he spent the remainder of his years trying to explain what he saw so people would believe him. He inadvertently brought the saying flying saucers to the world. He didn't really say it, but the reporter, when he wrote his article, paraphrased what Mr. Arnold was saying, and it came out as flying saucers. So that went down on him. He didn't want it to, but that's just how history panned out. So what happened was he was on the way to an air show in Oregon, and he saw those nine objects. See, I do this every time. I have everything laid out so good. And then I talk from what I remember and I try to find my place in my notes.
You're
So,
fine.
I do it too. It's like, whatever.
yeah.
Just go.
So anyway, he was flying to his thing, but he took a slight detour because unfortunately during his flight, over the radio came that there was a crash near Mount Rainier. There was a U.S. Marine Corps C-46 had went down. And so they had put out a notice, and that whoever was able to locate where they went down, there was a $5,000 reward. So he diverted his flight because it was on his path to try and locate it, and that's when he saw these objects flying. It was shortly before 3 p.m. and they were circling his plane. So he saw the bright lights flash to the northeast, and he thought at first it was a military aircraft. But it turns out after all the investigation and everything, the military said they had nothing going on at that time in that location. So he said that the formation of the 9 objects was about 5 miles long, and each one was circular and approximately 100 feet across. And they would go up, they would flip, bank, and weave side to side while they were flying.
Wow.
They calculated the speed to be approximately 1,200 miles per hour, which at the time was 2 times faster than any airplane at the time.
That's exactly
and
what my
ironically,
dad had. He had a UFO sighting when he was a pilot up there at
wow.
Rainier. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. And it says there was also a prospector on Mount Adams, which I guess is close to Mount Rainier. Or close enough, who said he also saw these objects flying. And in July of the same year in Roswell, New Mexico, the newspaper said that the nearby Army field had recovered a crashed flying saucer object, but the Army was saying that it was a weather balloon. And then I think it was
Allegedly.
in the 70s. Yeah. And then in the 70s, it resurfaced because people were saying that, no, it wasn't. We saw what it was. It was an aircraft. It wasn't a weather balloon. So, yeah.
That's
Well,
pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of
The
interesting.
whole Roswell story is just really, really interesting.
So
Yeah.
it is. The one that my dad saw, there was a formation of guys flying because they were on their way up to Rainier to do search and rescue of a downed aircraft. And they saw it come in and fly with them. Like it came in lightning fast and then flew with them, but off at a distance. And they were chattering back and forth on all their radios. And they were looking at this thing, couldn't figure out what it was. And ATC didn't have it. There was nobody knew what it was. And then it stayed with them, then kind of hovered over them, went down below them, and then just took off. So It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, it
That
makes
must
me
be a
wonder
hot spot, huh?
Well, it makes me wonder how many pilots see these things or have seen them and didn't say anything because at the time they'd be labeled as kooks and
Right.
they'd be grounded.
In the military, they would report them to us in ATC. They would usually tell us something's going on and ask if we have something on. Well, that's how they'd usually start. They'd ask us if we have something on radar, and negative, and we'd be
Wow.
nothing on radar, and they're like, "Well, there's something there." And that's how it would start. Yeah.
Crazy.
So, mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting too. I've read something about the First Nations people and their interactions with UFO sightings and what they believe. So it's pretty interesting on what I found out too. So
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go in
Yeah.
front of Mad Max because his is going to be amazing.
No,
Okay,
please.
Okay. So as I was doing my research, I wanted to kind of touch base with like, First
Better.
Nations people and what they've seen. And we talk about Roswell and we talk about the surrounding areas of New Mexico's Dulce base, I think is what it, or Dulce base. And according to Navajo stories and legends, that they have unexplained identified flying objects. They've seen them since the beginning of time for their nation, for their nations since forever. They've always had that connection with UFOs and extraterrestrial. I can talk today. Sorry, guys. And a lot of the elder people say they've had talked to them and seen them in the sky. And if you look, and I'm sure Colleen can testify to this, when you guys went to Skinwalker Ranch, there's carvings of them having these visitors and come and talk to them, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of drawings. They've also had the, which will be discussed later, about the cattle. They also believe that these aliens don't leave. There's apparently a hidden base that the military created during even the Roswell time, that they're still there. And they just do test flyings all over. It's not just Roswell. And
Right.
apparently they've seen these all over. So it was 1979, according to the tribe. That is when it was built. Yeah. It's just crazy to see what kind of information. A lot of the tribal police also like see a bunch of reports and seen them themselves. So they can't go out and investigate. They have to get permission from the council, like ufologists. So you can't just go out to the reservation and watch the sky and everything. You have to get permission. And they're also very private about it. Like, this is something that means a lot to the First Nation people. So I found that pretty interesting. That's just my little lot of stories. Too many to
pick one.
too many. Yeah, pick one.
They call them the star
interesting.
people.
Yes,
the
star
people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
there was a movie. What was there? A movie about 10 years ago called Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh my gosh!
yeah.
And it was kind of cheesy, but I can imagine what it was like. These are hard scrabble folks, and then they're starting to deal with stuff that's coming out of the sky. I worked with a deputy years ago, and when he was on patrol one night, our deputies back in the 70s were very spread pretty thin. Much, that's just the way it was. He's working a single man car, and he's coming up a road, and he says he's following this vehicle, and he puts it out over the radio. He's following a vehicle, and at a high rate of speed, and Carl's right behind him, and it looks like a car. So they start going up a hill, and it's Carl's area, and friggin' Carl, he knows at the top of this hill that it makes a pretty tight right-hand turn. And he said he's following this vehicle up this hill, and the vehicle went straight. So he's like, oh my God, so he puts it out over the radio that I might have a vehicle over the side. And he said all he saw was headlights going or taillights going out through the night sky. It was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I mean, that stuff happens all the time. A lot of times, like you said in the military, law enforcement, there's certain things that you don't release. You don't say you saw. It's just the way it is. And unfortunately, Carl put it over Station One, and he caught flack. I mean, I was at his retirement, and they were still talking about it. So
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
But it's funny too, because they even talk about like there was a battle between aliens and the place where the Navajo Nation. They were talking about there was this battle between aliens, and I always think like Independence Day, when the aliens come in. Of course, that's a little different, but yeah. So it's just pretty interesting to see what kind of things they believe in and what they see. There's also like they believe in cave dwelling aliens too.
Mm-hmm.
And that they also believe that the aliens walk among their people and they have like this special aura or something like that they give, and only elders can to see them. So pretty interesting stuff. I don't know.
That is
A lot.
What do you have, Mad Max?
So, since we're talking about that UFO abductions, let's see. So, I'm going to talk about Betty and Barney Hill. And this was back in the 60s. And Betty and Barney were just regular folks. They lived in New Hampshire. Let's see. Barney worked for the Postal Service. And Betty was a social worker. They were very active in their Unitarian congregation. They were members of the NAACP. So these were folks that were in their society. They were pretty not only important, but everybody knew these folks. Mm-hmm. And it's not like it's just like Crazy Bob that lives up the street. These are folks that actually lived and worked, and they were stand-up folks. So the reports were that about 10:30, they were driving back from Portsmouth on a vacation. They went to Niagara Falls, and just south of Lancaster, New Hampshire, Betty said that she saw a bright point of light in the sky from below the moon and the planet of Jupiter. So I guess you could, it was pretty clear back then. So as they're driving along, Betty thought that she was just saw a shooting star, but it moved upward. And as we all know, shooting stars and falling stars always use that trajectory as they're going down. Right. This one actually was flying up, and it moved pretty erratic. And again, we've all seen them. They're pretty much they're straight. They're not going around the corner. They're not, making turns and whatever. But as they were driving, it kept moving upwards. So because it moved so erratically and it grew bigger and brighter as it was coming towards them, Betty, and apparently she is a beast, she says, "Hey, stop the car. Let's take the dog for a walk." Who does that?
Yeah, that's weird.
I'd be like, no, turn the radio up, roll the windows up, we'll go home. But no, they decided they needed to take their dog out. So they stopped. And they were just south of a place called Twin Mountain. So Betty's looking through binoculars, and they observed an odd-shaped craft flashing again with a multicolored lights travel across the face of the moon. So that travel, the flashing different colored lights seems to have a theme. Yeah. And like Bertie was saying, like you guys were saying, there's different colored lights out there.
I think of Cat from Space.
Pardon me?
I think of Cat from Space.
So earlier, several years earlier, Betty was thinking about her sister that had seen a flying saucer. So that's what she thought she was observing. So Barney took the binoculars over, and he reasoned it was just a commercial airliner, and it was traveling towards Vermont. And he soon changed his mind because without looking, it had turned, and the craft rapidly descended in their direction.
Oof.
Okay, so at that point they're like, "Yeah, this isn't a plane." So they got back in the car and they're driving down the road, and it's pretty desolate back wherever the heck they were driving. And they were moving through Franconia Notch to observe the object as it came closer. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant, a single tower in Cannon Mountain, and that's where Old Man of the Mountain is. Betty said that it was at least 1/2 length the time of the granite profile. So, and the profile they're saying is 40 feet. So it's so we're looking at what? 60 feet, right? They said that it was illuminated and it was moving erratically and bounced back and forth in the night sky. About a mile south of Indian Head, the object descended toward their vehicle. Now, they were driving a 57 Chevy Bel Air, probably pretty cool, probably a 4-door. I would rather have a 2-door, but that's just me. And I'm not really a car guy.
Yeah,
I'm just not.
No, I get it. Yeah.
But anyway, it said that it filled the entire field, right? It filled the entire field of their windshield. They couldn't see anything other than this friggin' UFO.
Wow.
And they said they thought it was a huge pancake. So Barney's got his pistol. He steps away from the vehicle and moves closer towards the object. It was landing. Using binoculars, he claimed to have seen 8 to 11 humanoid figures looking out the windows.
Wow.
So, and they were looking at him. They were looking right at him.
Wow.
In unison, they encircled the portion of the front of the craft. They walked down the rear. There was a rear panel that dropped out of the UFO. They walked down it and they started walking towards him. One figure continued to look at Barney, communicated him, "Stay where you are and keep looking." So it's clearly they I guess it was telepathic. Barney, his recollection of the humanoid forms were wearing a glossy black uniforms and black caps.
It's the Men in Black.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is interesting that you say that, because the original Men in Black were not. They said that they are not human. So let's see. So red lights that would appear on the bat wing fins began to telescope out of the sides of the craft. The long structure descended from the bottom of the craft. So the craft actually approached and was probably about 50 feet away from Barney and Betty. And then they talked about how Barney turned around fearing for his life. He runs back to the car terrified. He gets back in the car and they speed away. Then they heard a strange beeping sound. They fell into a daze. When they woke, they realized they were outside of Concord, which is probably about 60 miles. Barney reported, and his report was these were not human. They got home at dawn. There was some odd sensations that they couldn't explain. Betty insisted that her luggage be kept near the back door rather than the main part of the house. Their watches never worked again. Let's see. Barney said that the leather strap, the straps on his binoculars were torn, and he could not recall it tearing. The toes of his best dressed shoes were scraped. So he's, they're wearing patents or leather shoes or whatever, and his toes are scraped, kind of like that movie, The Craft, right? When that girl came down and she was dragging her feet. And that scared me horribly. I got the chicken skin right now just thinking about that. But anyway.
I try not to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It sounds like he got dragged into the ship.
And that's what it says. And it's going to get a little graphic. Barney says he was compelled to examine his genitals in the bathroom, where he found nothing unusual. They took long showers to remove possible contamination, and each other drew a picture of what they observed.
Wow.
Yeah, and it goes on, and it's not only that it just goes on and goes on, but a lot of things came out of this. Betty woke up, and the dress that she was wearing was covered in a pink powder. And once she hung it out on the line, that powder just blew away. But the dress was damaged.
Oh, wow.
It just and so with this being said, they built a lot of stuff off of these folks. These two folks were visited a lot. They both contracted illnesses that ended up, making them really sick. They experimented with a compass, noting that when they moved close to it, when they moved close to the compass, the needle would spin.
Interesting.
And then when they moved away from it, go ahead.
Did they have an implant? Did they ever find an implant or anything?
Now I don't know about that. They both had very vivid dreams. And Betty had a series of vivid dreams that in 5 successful nights. And they talk about the beings surrounding their car. And it was interesting. They lost consciousness, and they struggled to regain it. Thought that Barney was doing a lot of sleepwalking, which he never did. So the men. So one night they were in a trance, and she said these men stood about 4 to 5 feet, or excuse me, 5 foot 4 inches tall, and they wore blue uniforms, and they appeared nearly human, with black eyes, dark hair, and prominent noses and bluish lips, and their skin was a grayish color.
Wow.
So they've talked about they've done a ton of interviews. They had missing time. They didn't say anything which I kind of thought was interesting. I would have liked to have known how the dog reacted.
Oh yeah.
They did have their dog with them, and I would have loved to have seen what happened to the dog.
Did you listen to their hypnosis interviews?
I have in the past. I haven't, and I wish I would have thought about that to listen to it. I do know that when they are talking, have you listened to that interview? It's pretty gnarly, right?
They start screaming and you could hear. I mean, it's the panic is palpable. You can feel it. It's terrifying.
Poor Barney. He got the bad end of.
He sure did.
Yeah.
He said at one point while he was under hypnosis, he said, "The eyes are in my brain. I was told to close my eyes because I saw 2 eyes coming close to mine. I felt like the eyes pushed into my eyes.
No.
All I could see was the eyes."
Wow.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty wild. So to go a little bit farther, they did a lot of talk shows, and they did a lot of interviews. But the one thing that I was pretty interested in, they actually talked about traveling. So it says that they were taken onto their UFOs, and they said that they were shown maps of where the beings lived, and it was pretty interesting. Yeah, they did a bunch of drawings. They talked about how some of those the beings were, their uniforms, they were wrapped around their face, which is interesting because a lot of movies, especially Outer Limits, was built on some of their stories. They taught and they were written because of what the Hills went through.
Wow.
Of course, there were some folks that were like, "Yeah, those people, they don't know what they're talking about."
Right.
They talked about, and there's always going to be those folks, right? There's always going to be the whatevers. Um, but it's just interesting. They talked about a couple shows, the Alien and the Bolero Shield. It was from '64, and these are from the Outer Limits. The Children of Spider County. Um, a couple drawings which are pretty cool, but it's pretty interesting how they can take what these poor folks went through, and after reading this stuff and looking at a bunch of this stuff, and there's no way if we don't think that there's something out there, we're pretty short-sighted.
Yeah. I have a question too.
Yeah.
Do you think, and it's just kind of like I was thinking about it like for the last few days, do you think UFOs pick and choose who they want?
Ooh.
It's funny that you say that because, so again, when I was younger and I worked overnights, I would listen to a guy named Art Bell. And Art Bell was, he was an overnight DJ out of Pahrump, Nevada. And some of the stuff he actually talked about, I mean, Ghost to Ghost, he talked about all kinds of stuff. But he talked to actually Bob Lazar, and he talked to Bob Lazar was worked out at Roswell at Groom Lake, and but they talked about these people, and they had a caller on there one night, and the guy says that these aliens are not from outer space. They are us coming back in different times. So
Crazy.
that's
Like that.
that just feels right.
Time tours?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I wanna-
why are we abducting people and cattle mutilation and then
Right.
wiping
Yeah.
memories and
it's for science.
I don't know.
I'm not
Oh,
sure.
it's for
Right.
science?
Yeah.
And think about it. So the theory is that we've talked about, right? The theory is that we are a science experiment.
Yeah.
We are we. A blink in our time. A week in our time is a blink in somebody else's time. Are they just looking at us? There's just so much stuff that goes on. There's everybody's going to be purged, and this is going to happen again, and I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't even know.
I
wanna
find it
share-
interesting. Oh, sorry.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I find it interesting, and you can do this whenever you want, but what's the average lifespan of a human? 60, 70 years?
Easy.
Easy? Okay. I want you to take
Wow.
I want you to take 70 years and times it by 3 and then look up what was going on in the world at that date. Like, say, what is it? July 14th, 160 years ago. And then compare it to now. That's 3 people ago. Or
Yeah, true.
or something like that. And look how far we've come. We've come from horse and wagon to
Waffle houses.
Yeah.
that is the Wild West still, but yeah, but
Well-
now we've got satellites in the sky. We've been to the moon.
I'm hungry.
All right. I want to share an article that had my dad. When he was an observer. Let's see. I wish I had. This is March 23rd, 1950. Okay. And he and another observer in the military saw a UFO. And it made the paper. So,
Wow.
yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is my dad right here. Can you see here? I have to do it on this screen. This is my dad right here. And this was someone else. So Bill Elder. Yeah, so my dad kind of he drew what they saw. I have a hard time with this conceptually to try to figure out exactly what this is, but they saw this in LA, and there were a lot of sightings in LA. So this was
Oh yeah, yeah. There's
flying
that.
saucers from Albuquerque to Afghanistan were seen that day. Interesting, huh? And
That's pretty wild.
moved into Hollywood territory with suddenness again today. Honest, we saw him. Reports from two sectors, and then um, Bill and I have both have 20/20 vision. O'Hara said, and believe me, we haven't been tipping. Tip. So that's my pop. Yeah. So anyway, it was a shining metallic object with rosy tint on its underside. Was like no man-made object they'd ever seen. It was of tremendous size, O'Hara said. Jet planes flying in the area at the time left vapor trails between us and the saucer. So it must have been a lot higher. Yet it was 25 to 35 times bigger than the jets. Now, remember, my dad was a pilot too. So he understood aircraft characteristics. He didn't think it could have been a weather balloon because it was moving against the wind and because a standard weather balloon wouldn't be visible at that altitude. Both men made it clear that their opinions were their own and not that of the Air Force. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. But
Hey,
Wow.
Colleen, what year was that?
1950, it says March 22nd, 1950, or March 23rd, 1950 was the Los Angeles something news.
Oh,
So in 1942, February 24, 25, was the War of LA, the Battle of Los Angeles.
the Battle of Los Angeles. Yep.
Now, what
So
year?
that was not, they're saying it was February 26, 1942.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, it still says that they're still there. I'm not doubting your pop by no means, but I mean, it's pretty interesting stuff that so much stuff has went on that side. And
Yeah,
I mean, you have two friggin' pilots that are beasts. That's what they do. That's what they see.
right.
Wow, just incredible stuff, man.
Yeah. I ran across this newspaper clipping when I was going after he passed away. I was going through a lot of his records and like, oh my gosh, yeah,
Right?
cool.
It's
That's
wild.
crazy.
So to kind of finish up the show, I thought I'd talk a little bit about cattle mutilations, and I did a whole podcast on them. So that's out there on the Speaking of Spirits podcast, and you can find that on this YouTube page on Emergency Encounters under podcasts. But so I won't go into the whole thing because the podcast lays it out pretty much from the beginning through what we are experiencing now. But I'll just give you kind of a little bit of a recap that probably the first recorded cattle mutilation by something unknown that fits the what we see today was as early as 1606.
Wow.
And yeah, so precision cuts that what we're seeing now, and this was but that 1606 was like the whole herd of sheep would be mutilated with precision that they didn't have back then. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? 1606,
Yeah.
pretty primitive, right? So, and then you keep moving forward, and we have had there's quite a lot in the early 1800s and 1900s in Texas, particularly Texas, because it's a large expanse of land. It's a big state, so there's not a lot of eyes out there on these herds, right? So it was a horse. They're discovering horses dead with surgical precision cuts. And what was really fascinating about what the horses, what was happening to the horses, was that their central nervous system was actually removed,
What?
like cut out of their bodies somehow with precision. How How does that happen?
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
blown.
yeah,
Huh?
but what?
It's
What are
almost
you
like
gonna, what are you
Bodies
gonna do with the
Museum.
central nervous system?
I don't.
Again, it's for science.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you move on,
Wow.
and we have all of these other mutilations, and a rash of mutilations have happened across the U.S. with nearly 10,000 horses and cattle mutilated over 1.28 million acres from Tennessee to Oregon and from Minnesota to New Mexico. And they continued present day to 2025. There's mutilations
That
going
is-
on. And there's the one hot spot seems to be the state of Colorado. Lots
Wow.
and lots and lots and lots of mutilations there. Some of the cattle actually appear to have been lifted up like with a helicopter at very high heights and then just dropped. Like every bone would be broken
Ooh.
after they were mutilated. How does that happen? You're talking about, 800, 500 easy to like a large black Angus is probably 1,000 pounds or more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard stories of them abducting elk too.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. I don't have anything in this one. This is just with livestock. But what's fascinating in these cases is that there's no predation on the bodies. There's no blood trail. Everything is mutilated like with precision, with surgical precision. Um, and it would be like a lot of times it's the genitals that have been removed, the udders, like just the udder on a cow. How hard, that's got to be incredibly no blood, anywhere. How do you remove the udder and not have blood?
I,
Like a lot of eyes were removed cleanly.
Mhm.
Yeah, weird,
Wow.
Laser
but why
cauterization.
cows?
huh?
Why cows? Why?
Well,
What
it's
did they
cows
ever do
working
to them?
sheep. Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. There's no tracks whatsoever, and some of the animals were actually left in a mutilated state just outside the farmer's front door. So they'd open their door in the morning, cup of coffee in their hand to go feed the animals. They're
Wow.
dead, like a dead steer or a horse or something mutilated with this precision right outside their front door, but they didn't hear anything. Some of the farmers
Wow.
reported seeing flights or like helicopters in the area when these mutilations happened, but never saw anybody like land or anything like that. But they did see helicopters. It's just really, really weird. It's
So weird.
super
I
Well,
bizarre.
they talk about even the bugs. The bugs will not even attach, because usually they talk about, there's other critters out there, right? Scavenger critters, and those critters or the bugs or the flies will not have anything to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
almost like they're tainted.
right,
Right.
They know they'll
exactly,
get sick if
exactly.
they eat it, so they don't touch it.
Huh.
Well, yeah, and I think that there's also there's some rumor again when I get in the Art Bell rabbit hole. He
Mm-hmm.
talks about how humans have been um, mutilated as well. There was an airman and a sergeant or a captain that were investigating something, and the airman went across the hill, and the captain went to go check him out, and he was being in the act of being abducted. And they said when they recovered his body, like 3 days later, that it was
Ooh.
almost unrecognizable. And this was, I want to say, in the 60s, 70s ish.
Wow.
So
Oh wow.
it's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, yeah, interesting. And like I said, if you think that we're the only thing here, that's pretty short sighted.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's
Yeah.
more here
You
than
know,
we know.
Oh,
But
definitely.
well,
yeah,
and
Although I
they,
can't watch Signs. I can't watch it.
that was such a good movie. Such a good movie.
it is a good movie.
Nope. Nope.
It was filmed only maybe 15 miles away from my house in Pennsylvania.
Oh
So
yeah.
Oh
it was
wow.
pretty cool. Yeah. Like we saw the film
So it
crews
wasn't
out
like
there.
the baseball crew, right? Build it and they will come. Apparently, that's the opposite of what I'd want.
Yeah. That was wild. And those cornfields out there are a little bit creepy. They're just everywhere.
And you got
Yeah.
Malachi running through the
Fun fact.
cornfield.
Okay, fun fact. Nothing to do with UFOs, but fun fact on corn. Did you know that corn sweat actually can spin a tornado?
What?
Okay, one more time.
Okay. So you have these swaths of the country that have corn, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
whole states grow corn, right?
Right.
Well, corn amps up the humidity. So when you amp up the humidity and that hot, humid air rises, then you
Oh
get a little bit
yeah.
of cold air move in. Corn sweat actually ups what they call the Cape value, and which creates that smashing of air that starts these big mesocyclones that will spit up
Wow.
a tornado. So that's part of the reasons why Tornado Alley, well, it's not really a geographical spot, but it has a lot to do with corn sweat. Fun
Huh.
fact.
He's like,
Interesting.
The
Betty,
more you know.
we're having a corn tornado.
Corn
It'll
tornado.
bunker down.
Why not they have sharknadoes? Why not cornnadoes?
Sharknado. Danielle, she said, I can handle signs. It's the fourth kind that scares
Oh
the crap out
yeah.
of me. I hear ya.
Yeah, that's something that Mud Lover and I need to watch is the fourth, because that's supposed to be pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
That's pretty gnarly, Danielle. I haven't seen that
was-
yet, but we're gonna check it out.
I would think Fire in the Sky would be the creepiest, though.
We need to have a movie night, guys. We need
Oh
to watch
yeah.
it together. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes.
I will pop
Just as long as
popcorn.
it's not signs. I won't. Nope.
How about the fourth kind?
The fourth
I don't know. I
kind.
never watched it.
Yeah, let's
Never
do
watched
Close
it.
it.
Encounters of the Fourth
I've only
Kind.
seen
It's a
previews.
classic.
Never watched it.
Let's do
Mhm.
it.
Okay.
All right,
I'm out.
guys. Thanks for hanging in with us tonight. I love this topic. I think we could talk forever on this topic.
Yeah,
So thanks again for
definite.
hanging in with us, and we appreciate you. And if you didn't watch last night's live with our psychics, you need to go back and watch it. It's still up. It was really good. It's so
Yeah.
phenomenal how those ladies are just on it. It's crazy. We always have new people coming on the show, and they ask a question, and it's amazing because the people will say, "Yeah, that's what's happening." So,
Yeah.
pretty interesting. So,
And Jesse,
All right,
that wasn't a spider. That was one of your little friends. That was one of your little friends.
One of the little friends.
That was one of your little friends.
Wrong way to get my attention.
They're gonna chat after the show.
Exactly.
Probably like contacting UFO and saying, "Hey, let's go to the Waffle House and watch signs."
Oh my God, the Waffle House.
All right, everybody.
Night,
We'll
guys.
catch you next week.
Right.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Any question? Hey, leave your questions. Leave your questions in the chat. We'll hit you back.
That's
Thanks for
right.
watching.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. See ya.